Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Pittsylvania County's Planning Commission, March 1st, 2022. Roll call, please.
Ms. Henderson?
Present.
Mr. Waters?
Present.
Mr. Horn?
Present.
Ms. Meese?
Present.
Mr. Dalton?
Here.
Mr. Oakes? Mr. Harker?
Present.
Mr. Haymore?
Here. Ladies and gentlemen, stand with me, please, for a moment of silence and a pledge to the flag. Gentlemen, if you would, remove your cap. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Does any citizen here have any comment they would like to make to the Planning Commission that is not on our agenda? Okay. Approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Move that we approve the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Horn,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Waters. All in favor, please vote. Let the record show 7 yes, 1 absent. Approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion for approval of the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion approval of the minutes.
Motion. Motion by Ms. Meese.
I'll second that.
Who's second? Oh, Ms. Henderson, I'm sorry. Am I ready for a vote? The record shows 7 yes, 1 absent. I have no report of the chairman. Meeting is now open for a public hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, we, the Planning Commission, have been empowered to hear and decide specific applications in support of said ordinance and make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors or the Board of Zoning Appeals. In accomplishing this important task, we are charged with promoting health, safety, welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. We must ensure that all decisions and recommendations be directed to those goals, and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and the best interests of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board regarding a zoning case will be limited to 3 minutes. At 7:03, case R22-007 is open for public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-22-007, Barry and Jeanette Haskins have petitioned to rezone 1.48 acres located at 3800 Wheel Road in the Callens-Gretna Election District from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for the placement of an accessory building. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Haskins is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Haskins, do you have anything that you would like to present to the commission that's not in the packet? Pardon? You do not? Any commission have any questions or anything for Mr. Haskins?
I do not.
If not, at 7:04, case R22-007 is closed to public hearing. Ms. Meese.
Mr. Chairman, I have not received any opposition in this case, so therefore, in case R-22-007, I make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors that this request be honored from R1 to A1.
Motion by Ms. Meese. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harker. Any discussion? Not, we're ready for a vote. Let the record show 7 yes, 1 absent, that case R-22-007 be recommended for the Board to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you, Mr. Haskin. At 7:05, case R-22-010 is open for public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-22-010, Mark Blanchett has petitioned to rezone 19.76 acres located on Martinsville Highway in the Tunstall Election District from RC1 Residential Combined Subdivision Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for a campground. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Blanchett is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Blanchard, come around, sir, if you have something you'd like to add that we do not have in the packet.
There's pretty much an already existing campground. I bought this place 3 months ago, not knowing that it needs to be zoned agriculture. I've been working with the health department, doing everything I can to get into compliance, and basically I've gotten as far as I can go until getting rezoned. I'm getting calls every day for these out-of-town workers coming in, working for the solar farms, power lines, pipeline, and they're having to stay as far away as below Greensboro just to work in this county. And I'm trying to get rezoned so I can expand the campground and provide all these workers with a place to stay. I've already signed up to hook up to county water. I'm just waiting for them to come out there and put it in, but it's pretty much just waiting on rezoning.
Any questions or comments to Mr. Blanchard? Where is this located, Mr. Blanchard?
It's about a mile inside the Pittsylvania County line on 58.
Okay. No one else have anything? Thank you, sir. At 7:08, case R-22-010 is closed to public hearing. Someone on behalf of, I think it's Tunstall District, is that not correct? Someone on behalf of Mr. Oakes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion. In case R-22-010, make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors that this be changed from case be changed from RC-1 to A1, as requested.
Motion by Ms. Meese. A second.
I'll second that.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dalton. Any further discussion or questions? Not, we're ready for a vote. Let the record show 7 yes and 1 absent. Case R-22-010, request to rezone 19.76 acres from RC1 to A1 will be recommended to the Board of Supervisors. Mr. Blanchard. Thank you, sir. At 7:09, case S-22-003 is open for public hearing.
Case S-22-003, Firefly Energy LLC has petitioned for a special use permit on 3,791.95 acres, a total of 19 parcels of land, located off of State Road 58 South Boston Highway, State Road 713 Rock Springs Road, State Road 712 White Ridge Road, State Road 62 Milton Highway, State Road 899 Cardwell Lane, State Road 656 Kearns Church Road, and State Road 970 Pounds Road in the Dan River Election District for utility-scale solar energy facility. Staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, a representative from Firefly LLC is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Walker.
I believe so.
Mr. Walker, come around, sir. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Commissioners and staff, thank you for considering this matter again this evening. Thank you to the landowners involved in the Firefly project, and thank you to the neighbors of the project that have been very helpful this past month in providing us feedback. I hope you've all been well since our last hearing here. As you know, we are seeking a special use permit for Firefly, the 150 megawatt solar project located in the Dan River District. This project adheres to and in places now goes beyond county requirements for vegetative buffering, property line setbacks, and community engagement. As the Board of Supervisors reflected in unanimously approving and signing the siting agreement with us in December, and as the staff of the Planning Department reflected with their recommendation for approval, Firefly is a good project for the county. In December, we sent invitations to all neighbors of the Firefly project to invite them to our January community meeting at the Ringgold Fire Station. And there we had 30 attendees sign in over the 2-hour event and had a lot of great discussions about the project. Per your suggestion last month, we have worked further with folks in the Ringgold community. We sent out another round of invitations to an open house that we held last Thursday, again at Ringgold Fire and Rescue. 22 attendees signed in, and we had more great discussion over that 4-hour event. We also sent out project information packets to every neighbor of the project for those that were unable to attend the open house. During all this time, we have responded to emails, phone calls, and text messages, and even visited with folks in their homes to better understand their concerns and make accommodations where possible. We're not able to please everyone, unfortunately, but we are doing everything we reasonably can. We have made numerous adjustments to the site plan at the expense of the project. This includes moving proposed panels, inverters, fences, collection lines, and access routes away from concerned neighbors. We are not seeking rezoning, but are utilizing the existing A1 agricultural and M1 light industry zoning. And yes, this project will require a construction period that will create temporary noise and traffic as construction moves throughout the site. But upon completion, it will be obscured by vegetation and will not create audible noise. This is a much better alternative than other possible uses under A1 and M1. And it is the right of these property owners involved in the project to proceed with this compatible use that provides the best option for their families without burdening their neighbors. Because the special use permit goes by tax parcel, we are seeking to permit over 3,000 acres. But after you remove acreage that's used only for collection lines, the property setbacks, and is just not suitable to build on, we're left with about 1,470 acres. And of this, the current design requires 1,400 acres approximately. And it's worth noting that only a fraction of that is considered impervious to stormwater and groundwater as compared to other forms of development. Through the siting agreement that was unanimously approved and executed by the Board of Supervisors in December, Firefly will provide approximately $12.25 million in payments to the county over its operation, with an additional $3.5 million in real property tax revenue over its lifespan. If the property were to remain in its current use, it would generate an anticipated $319,000 over 35 years. So this is a 49 times increase in revenue for the county, and that doesn't include other positive economic impacts to restaurants, groceries, gas stations, and hotels, for example, during and after construction. Firefly will generate clean electricity to power up to 25,000 homes in a year, And once injected onto the transmission grid, this clean energy will disperse throughout the electrical system and power homes and businesses in Ringgold, Pittsylvania County, and beyond. This clean energy is a modern requirement for many companies, such as Ford and Amazon, in choosing locations for new facilities. So Pittsylvania County will not only benefit directly from Firefly's economic contribution, but will continue evolving its economy, attracting next-generation businesses and creating more great jobs for the community. I ask that the Planning Commission recognize the good that this project offers and the effort that we continue to make in accommodating neighbors to the project and vote to approve this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Walker, anybody have any questions for him at this point? Mr. Walker, you
Yes, sir.
said Ringgold and the local community. Somebody was talking to me the other day and said it was more of the electricity would be going to North Carolina than it would be in Virginia. Can you expand on that, please, sir?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we're going to be interconnecting onto a high voltage 230 kilovolt transmission line. And I compare this to, Route 40, let's say, a massive, larger highway. But electricity follows the path of least resistance. So it's possible that we inject this energy onto that transmission line and no one nearby needs it, but at that given moment in time, the closest location that it needs to be used is in North Carolina. So it's possible that those electrons flow to North Carolina. In reality, the electrons disperse wherever they can go, wherever they are needed in that exact moment. So it's possible that it all stays in Virginia. It's possible that it goes into North Carolina. Could even make it up as far as Kentucky. So it's very difficult to track the electrons of electricity. But what I will say is that we are constructing this project and then selling it to Appalachian Power to serve their customer base here in Virginia. So although the electrons operate with a mind of their own, let's say, this project is dedicated to residents of Virginia.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Walker, APCO's buying all of it.
They're buying the entire project. So not only just, a lot of times projects put together power purchase agreements where they agree to just buy the energy as it comes out of the project. Appalachian Power is going to be buying the entire project in question. So we know already who the long-term owner and operator is going to be. And I think it's a good thing that it's Appalachian Power who, is beholden to the residents of the Commonwealth.
They certainly are in Pittsylvania. Yeah, okay. Any other questions for Mr. Walker? Thank you, sir. We have
Thank you.
any number of people that want to speak, and let me remind you that there's a 3-minute limit to anyone speaking other than the person who's petitioning for it, and I'll try to remind you with 30 seconds to go. First, Mr. Larry Burnett. Larry, come around. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Good evening. Yeah, my name is Larry Burnett. And look, I'd like to direct these comments to everyone here that opposes this project as well as the board. It's my opinion that no one here is against solar energy, just its location. I think everyone knows it's the cleanest, quietest, and safest form of energy on the planet. And I do know that Firefly has gone above and beyond any county requirements to accommodate the concerns of neighbors to this project. On my land alone, they have made major adjustments to the original plan, such as moving the transmission line farther away from any houses, doing away with the panels bordering Highway 62 and across the road from Mayor Lane, which probably is not even visible from the road now, and also moving the primary access point to the project so it is now should have very little to no impact on the traffic on Highway 899. The problem is let me see, I lost my space here. The problem is a few people want the scenery around don't want the scenery around them to change. And I'm not talking about their land, I'm talking about the neighbor's land. I don't think that anyone here thinks that the view they have of their neighbor's property is going to stay that way from now on. But let me tell you, things could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse things across that house than solar panels. Like maybe a stinking landfill, noisy racetrack, housing project, huge industrial buildings. And all these things are already in the county, and the next one may be coming on the property near you. But solar panels, after constructed, they make no noise, have no odor, and they don't increase traffic on the roads. So compared to these things, solar panels don't look too bad, do they? And there are a lot of people here that's going to speak against this project for one reason or another. But I say that for each one of these people, there are a lot more that hoping this will happen because of the income it will bring. And also, it's going to generate tax benefits for each and every taxpayer in Pittsylvania County. That's each and every one of them. This project is expected to generate approximately
You've got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
This project is expected to generate approximately $16 million in tax revenue, and maybe if the county is getting additional revenue from other places, they could give us taxpayers a break. But it's also a good possibility that if the board does not approve this step in the permit process, then Firefly will simply go to a neighboring county or state. That $16 million in tax revenue will go to somebody else, and this board will be left wondering if they did what was best for the whole county or just a few people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Rhonda Guthrie. Ms. Guthrie, come around, please, ma'am. Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, thank you.
Evening, I should say.
Good evening, yes. My name is Rhonda Guthrie. I live in Halifax County. My property is surrounded by the Water Strider solar project, much like Mr. and Ms. Sheffield will be if this project is built. Our Water Strider project is an 80 megawatt facility, and so with all we've been through with this project, I was very disturbed to find out that this project is going to be twice as big. Now, I heard all the horror stories about solar farms, toxic substances and radiation and EMF transmissions and all this and decreasing of property value. So I got a real estate agent to come and assess our situation. And she came to the determination that it does decrease the value of your property by maybe 10, 15%. Now, I know that's not a lot, but why should we have any decrease in value from something that we have nothing to do with? So we decided to investigate this a little further. So we took a survey. We surveyed about 100 people. One question, we asked them, would you buy a property next to a large solar facility? Every person we asked except 2 or 3 said no. And the 2 or 3 that said yes said it would be yes if they could get it for the right price. So, and if all this wasn't bad enough, then the construction crew arrived. And the first week they were there, when they tore down the electric lines and turned off our electricity, I said to myself, if this is a sign of things to come, this is not going to be good. We then endured over a year of noise, dust, trash in the yard, flat tires, machinery and trucks running up and down the road in front of our house constantly, finding the road blocked every time we tried to leave the house or anything. Delivery trucks would go down to the end of the road, get stuck because they were too big to turn around, and get in our field and mire it up trying to turn around and get out. Our board had 28 conditions on this project. Number 22 stated that they could only work from sunup to sundown, Monday through Saturday. I started hearing work going on Sunday. And then not only did they not quit at sundown, they put up lights so they could work even longer. So we would hear machinery passing by our house at midnight. And so then they started burning all the trees they had pushed up, and we were covered in smoke. So and they claimed there would be no noise. They buzz like a giant swarm of bees, especially if you're surrounded by them. And it's very irritating at times. And we have satellite TV. And our TV started going off when the sun would come up, and it would start back working when the sun would come down. And our internet, we can get an email, and somebody sends us an email, it shows up 3 days later. So, I mean, and none of this happened before they started the solar farm. So it's my opinion.
Wind it down, please, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Doris Farmer.
Drop your papers.
Good evening, Ms. Farmer.
Good evening.
Welcome.
My name is Doris Farmer, and I've been talking to the solar panel people about the business, and I think this is a good project coming into our area on our property.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Zunk. Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Welcome.
members of the commission and staff. My name is Skylar Zunk. I'm here on behalf of the Virginia Land and Liberty Coalition, a project of conservatives for clean energy. You may remember I had the chance to visit with you all in the fall and winter as you all were considering updates to your ordinance to do things like set ground rules for solar projects to attract new business and new dollars to the county. Things like setbacks, which you all kept in the ordinance, buffers, and of course, respecting neighbors. We at Conservatives for Clean Energy ardently support private property rights and an individual's right to do on their property what they please. But of course, we condition that with being respectful of all the neighbors. I come to you this evening as a neighbor to a solar development that's underway in my home county, directly adjacent to my family's land, and we're excited for this project because this will be a much better neighbor than a lot of other potential uses for land that doesn't belong to me. So we're proud neighbors to that. We also talk about economic development and how Pittsylvania County stands to gain even more in dollars coming into the county in terms of tax revenue, local businesses receiving new contracts, new customers, et cetera, as construction crews come here, and as these projects provide income for about 19 of your landowners here within the county. And somewhat more pertinent in the past couple of weeks is our energy independence. If we create energy right here in Virginia, right here in Pittsylvania County, we're not relying on other states to send us electrons on the grid. We're certainly not requiring other countries to send us fuel to power our power plants. So we're here to speak on behalf of the Firefly project. It abides by the ordinance, and we've seen through the board packet go above and beyond some aspects that you all require of these projects. We think they're a phenomenal new move for Pennsylvania. We talk about how awesome Pittsylvania County's ordinance is and how business friendly you all are when we're talking to counties across the South Side and across Virginia. I want to commend you all on your work. We really appreciate it. We ardently think that you all are examples for other counties across the state, and we urge you to move forward with the Firefly project as proposed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Tommy Watson. Abstained. John Walters. Good evening, Mr. Walters.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome, sir.
I met with Mr. Walker on February 3rd at Mrs. Bass's house. She was here at the last meeting. She's had a surgery on her knee and she's unable to attend. Had a lot of questions that I asked Mr. Walker, and not all of them were answered to my satisfaction. I'll just put it like that. I asked, how was this solar facility going to benefit me? And his only answer that he could give me was, it might lower your taxes. Might. Okay? Which is nothing for me as a property owner adjacent on Route 899 Cardwell Lane. I requested a call from my supervisor, which is Dan River District's Jim Chesser. Jim Chesser's been in the hospital for a month. Yes, he has not returned my call. I really was anticipating a call from him.
He is not doing well now.
I know that. I realize that. I know how he's doing.
Yes,
but
sir.
that still doesn't disregard him of his duties, though, because of, quote unquote, me as a resident in Dan River District needs to talk to my supervisor about this issue. And I'm unable to talk to him, okay? I feel that's very unfair for me as a resident in this area. And I mean, I realize sicknesses, you can't do anything about it, okay? I realize that, Mr. Chairman. My problem is, who can we demand, or who can we trust to keep my road, which is Cardwell Lane, clean? Because that's a major access point in and out of the facility on Cardwell Lane. My wife's property, her and her two brothers, they own the property, so I feel like I own a little bit of that property. I've worked on that farm for about 30 years now. But it's gonna require a lot of mud coming in and out, a lot of tractor trailers coming in and out. Who's gonna repair it? Who's gonna keep it land clean after this supposedly solar facility, or while they are doing it? And I've looked up a lot of stuff on the internet as far as the chemicals. There's quite a few dangerous chemicals that are made in these photovoltaic cells. And I know that these chemicals can leak, and if they can leak, they will leak. I worked in the electric department at Goodyear Tire Rubber Company for 20 years, so things do break. Everything breaks. And it could contaminate groundwater, and I am the closest house, other than Mrs. Quisenberry, to this facility. And there is no water substitute except for my well. And I know they're not going to put up a water system for me, just for the 3 or 4 residents on Cardwell Lane. Lastly, 2 times in the last 3 weeks, and I hope you guys really understand this, because this is a major point. I have seen a flock of wild turkeys that have numbered 10 both times that I've seen them. Okay? These turkeys were placed by a man named Mr. R. Wayne Bailey, Rolf Wayne Bailey. He was one of the most well-known turkey wildlife biologists in North Carolina, having resided in Milton, North Carolina, which I live about.
Mr. Walter, you need to wind it up, please, sir.
I got about 15 more seconds. He was he has wildlife areas named after him in Caswell County, and he has served all over the state of North Carolina in installing wild turkeys back into the wild after the 60s and 70s when DDT destroyed all of the wildlife. A yes vote by this commission will definitely end this wildlife location. Do we really need these tax dollars, or are we interested in any wildlife in that area? I want you to think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jenny Waller. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, thank you. The last time that we gathered here together before the meeting ended, we were told that life has changed. And that's true, because we don't live in the America that I was raised up in. But when solar panels, you're told last week at a meeting at the fire department, they can't tell you exactly where your home is located, or 26 acres that belongs to you. They think that maybe it'd be 400 feet within your farm, maybe. That is a big change when it comes to your farm. A solar panel farm, a rock concert, a landfill that stinks up your home to the point where you close your doors and windows and can still smell it inside, that's when it affects you. And I think if it's any way that they could move them away from my farm, that would be a wonderful thing. I'm not saying I don't want people in this county to make money. And last time we were here, it was repeated 3 times about how much money Firefly was bringing to this community and to the country. That's great. But my farm's been in my family since the 60s, when my husband's grandparents purchased it, and we've been paying taxes on it ever since. We should have our word about it too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Josh Burnett. Come around, Josh. Good evening, sir.
Hello, my name is Josh Burnett, and I'm a part of the community in which this farm will be located. I originally did not intend on speaking or attending tonight, but in lieu of everything going on, home and abroad, I would like to make a few remarks. Our country and communities rely on energy. Our policies make it harder than ever to create that energy, so we outsource, and the customer pays the difference. The world and its economy is as unstable as it has been in my entire lifetime, and inflation is through the roof. And so,
In this proposal, we have a clean energy, a locally sourced energy that will provide our community with a sustainable, renewable source for energy. And on top of that, local jobs to build and maintain it. The impact of a handful of people who don't like the aesthetics of the project is a blip on the radar in comparison to our country's desperate need to become more energy independent, and this project is just another step in the right direction. And I say to those who are concerned about the aesthetics of a clean, environmentally friendly energy source, watch the news, do some research about the points that I've just brought up, and see how your priorities stack up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Larry Jackson. Good evening, Mr. Jackson. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Chairman Haymore and members of the commission, I am Larry Jackson with Appalachian Power, and I'm here tonight to speak in favor of the Firefly Solar Project. As mentioned earlier, upon completion of construction, Appalachian Power intends to purchase the project from Recurrent Energy, which will serve to further expand the partnership Appalachian Power has had with the citizens of Pittsylvania County for decades. We currently serve 2,000 customers in the northwest part of the county, a large number of industrial customers around Danville, and soon will complete a 138 kilovolt transmission line and substation to serve the Berry Hill Megapart. The Firefly project will be yet another step in the transition of the Appalachian Power generation fleet to lower carbon sources, which is not only being requested by our customers and investors, but also is increasingly economical. This project is also helping to move us closer to the goals of the 2020 Virginia Clean Economy Act, while helping to support our local communities with an increased tax base and more jobs. Upon completion, Appalachian Power is estimating that we will have 3 full-time employees on the project every day. Finally, I would be remiss if I did not mention that nearly every industrial prospect that we meet with asks about the availability of local renewable energy. We believe the Firefly project will be a positive selling point in the attraction of customers to the Pittsylvania County area in general, and to the Berry Hill megasite in particular. I hope it will be the pleasure of this body to approve the Firefly Solar project this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Denise Sheffield. Good evening, Ms. Sheffield. Welcome.
Thank you. I've recently been given 1 month to gather information. I really appreciate that time. Thank you. County budgets, well, the first thing I wanted to bring up, because I've been making notes, Appalachian Power serves West Virginia, Tennessee, and Virginia, not our area. Not my area, anyway. I didn't know if that was going to change. Solar, industrial solar fields increase cost of electricity because we're going to offset that construction. They will not be paying for it. We will.
Ms. Sheffield, you need to speak a little into the mic a little
Okay,
bit.
so it's
Thank
very
you.
limited where the
Thank you,
areas, I think, in Pittsylvania County would even come close to benefiting. Our county budget for the 2022 fiscal year is $211 million. The proposed industrial complex brings roughly $335,000 a year if you're splitting it evenly. I have a chart that shows differently, but if that's split evenly, that's 1/600th of the budget for the 2022 fiscal year. And we're going to see our budget increase over time, but that's a static figure. It's very small. The only one that's going to gain financially from the project are the current landowners and the solar development company. Property values will decline within a 5-mile radius of this industrial site. There are studies to support this. There's a valid concern for contamination in soil, groundwater, for all surrounding areas. There are occurrences to support this. They do make noise. You can't contain it with a chain link fence, so it goes beyond the boundary. I've requested the decommissioning plan. It has listed a cost breakdown for just over $8,000 after 35 years. The cost breakdown was for Blue Ridge Solar, not Firefly. How are we this far in the process and we don't even have the documents complete? And they don't even apply to the current project. Deforestization is scheduled for October 2022. Construction of this industrial facility is to start January 2023. Again, how are we to the point of approval? Something seems grossly out of order. I'm requesting an unbiased third-party impact study as it appears to be in the best interest of not only the community, but the future health of this county.
Sheffield, you have 30 seconds, please, ma'am.
I have asked questions to Mr. Walker, and I've gotten the same answers as you have heard today. Very vague, some dishonest, or just completely. One of them was, how many solar panels are going to be in this 165-acre area? Wouldn't answer, wouldn't answer. I asked. Finally, he said 1,000. Gross underestimate. If we have a 7-foot fence with 3 rows of barbed wire to protect the humans, how does that protect the wildlife? Do they know better? They know the dangers of the solar field and the electricity. I have a million questions. I have searched for 1 full month, every opportunity I got, just to find one positive thing for this community, for the county, and for all the residents, and I cannot find one unless it's funded by a solar development company. Those studies are all positive. They're incorrect.
Thank you, ma'am. Ray Sheffield. Welcome, Mr. Sheffield.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good evening, sir.
I want to let you know I've been in construction for 40 years, and I'm upper management construction, and there's nothing nice about it. Our property's going to be tore all to pieces. The road's going to have mud all over it. You're going to have trash up and down Rock Springs Road. It's going to be one huge mess that somebody's going to have to clean up. Nobody's thinking about what the situation is. You know, all you think about is the money. Oh, this county's going to make some money. This county's going to do this. You're not thinking about the people that live in this county that count on you people to take care of our business for us. That's what you're voted in for, you know? And it's a shame. It is. Because I've been here a short little while, and if half of the people in this county would have done the research my wife has done, we wouldn't be standing in here today. They'd be building this solar farm somewhere else. A little bit of money is not worth. My wife hadn't slept but 2 hours in the past month a day. 2 hours a day. I get up at 4 o'clock and go to work in the morning, she's up. I go to bed at 9 o'clock, she's up. This isn't worth it to us, you know what I mean? You people, all you want to see is money. That's all you want to see. And I got to be quiet now because I'm getting out of control. There's no reason for you guys to even think about putting a solar farm here. It's going to ruin everybody around here, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? That's all I had on my list. Mr. Walker, you have any final comments? I think you have last say.
I think I'll just offer to continue to work with folks individually. Within the packets that we've sent out is all my contact information. I've met with some of these folks individually and have really appreciated them welcoming me into their homes in cases and exchanging emails and phone calls and text messages. I think, you know, on the whole, yes, there's going to be a temporary construction period. We are wholly responsible for containing that construction period and ensuring that it goes as smoothly and as seamlessly as possible, and we will do that. But I will just offer to anyone who spoke this evening that I thank you for your feedback. I'm taking it to heart, and if you would like to speak after the hearing tonight, tomorrow, give me a call. In the future, anytime, I'll make myself available. But thank you so much for everyone's time and consideration this evening.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Walker?
Mr. Walker, what is the time limit for the project or time frame for the project?
The project
If
is
approved.
estimated to operate for 30 to 35 years.
No, I mean construction.
Sure. We are expecting to enter into construction at the earliest on January 1st of 2023, and that's estimated to be between 12 and 15 months for the construction period. So that would put us operational in spring to mid-2024.
Mr. Walker, they were talking about, this lady was down in Halifax on Natherley was talking about leaving garbage and what have you. What do y'all do about that? I mean, it bothers me a little bit.
Yeah. Definitely appreciate that feedback. And just as an example of what I'm trying to do here to hold everyone accountable is that I received feedback from a concerned neighbor that there were surveyors encroaching on her property line. The very first thing I did was go and contact Westwood, that surveying company, and see what was going on and to remind them to stay clear of the neighbor's property line. So I just kind of want to use that as an example to say that we're going to hold people accountable, and we would expect no less from our engineering, procurement, and construction company that's going to be selected to build this project. They're going to be a tier 1 company, highly respectable in the industry, and they're 100% going to be expected to keep after themselves, clean up after themselves, and keep things tidy. So that will be all better detailed in the building permit process that we work with the planning staff on. But I just would say that we operate with integrity. We've built over 50 of these projects, as I mentioned during the last hearing. And so we do have experience with this type of construction, and we'll make sure that we do our best to keep the neighborhood content during the construction period and leave it in a very nice condition entering into operation.
But to go along with that, Mr. Walker, do you all have someone on site daily if issues
Yes.
arise that they can go to or call or contact?
Yes, there'll certainly be folks in charge of the construction that would be present on a daily basis. There'll be signage posted of how to contact the project generally, but also the folks that are working on the construction phase. So there will, just like now that there are open communication channels, that will exist all the way through construction.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Walker, I believe you said that at the last meeting, you would be hiring a maintenance operator to make sure after the job is completed that it will be maintained with trash or whatever needs to be done there as well.
That's correct, yes ma'am. So we, in this case, Appalachian Power will have an operations and maintenance agreement, and that is what Mr. Jackson referred to. We'll hire 3 folks to operate the plant, and in addition to making sure that the panels are functional, the trackers are tracking the sun, no panels are damaged. For example, the vegetation under the panels is kept at bay and not shading the panels. They're also responsible for the exterior. So with the recent ordinance that the Board of Supervisors passed for solar projects in this county, we're required to maintain a 150-foot or 200-foot setback that also features a 100-foot vegetation buffer. And so we're actually going to be leasing that property. The project is going to be leasing that property from the landowners participating in the project. And so the project and Appalachian Power and their operations and maintenance crew is responsible for the exterior of that project as well, that portion of the exterior.
Good.
Any other member of the commission have any questions for Mr. Walker? Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Thank you.
It's 7:48. Case S-22-003 is closed to public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like to remind you that Firefly did request 2 amendments to their condition last month. It was the height restriction. They requested to exclude pole-mounted utility lines and then amend the training since they will not have battery storage to, I believe it was quarterly training for the fire relating to just solar in general. So if you all would like to entertain those 2 amendments, they are not reflected in the staff summary. It's the same staff summary as you all received last month, but I did just want to remind you they did make that request at the last meeting.
Do I hear a motion to that effect?
I make the motion that we accept those 2 amendments to the conditions.
Motion by Mr. Horn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harker. I guess we need to vote on that as, in separate from the
No,
total
you
vote,
can
or
just,
make it all into one?
if you make a motion to approve, and you do, and that motion does include the conditions from staff, you can make a motion to accept their requests. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention before you all started making motions. So, you know, if you do want to honor their requests, you do have that ability to change the recommended conditions by staff if your motion is approval.
Thank you, Ms. Ragsdale. Mr. Horn.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, let me say thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Firefly Energy, for being patient with me and this commission and the concerned citizens and giving us, or giving you, an additional month to answer concerns from the citizens. Thank you, citizens, concerned citizens, for your comments and for your concerns. Part of my responsibility as commissioner is to justify, is to hear, to consider the concerns of the citizens in the Dan River District, and that's all of the citizens of the Dan River District. And collectively, we as a planning commission are charged with that responsibility. We are to consider what's best for the citizens of the entire county, some 60-some thousand county citizens, as well as the county itself. Collectively, we as a commission can only suggest. We are a recommending body. We do not make the final decisions. The Board of Supervisors makes the final ruling on zoning issues. The Board of Zoning Appeals has the final ruling and say-so on special use permit applications. They can, both parties can and have overturned our suggestions in the past, both ways. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. Also, some of the things that's been said tonight I'm in total agreement with. The bulk of the land in question in the scope of this project is already zoned A1 agricultural. That is a very, very liberal zoning in this county. There are so many things you can do on A1 agricultural land. And this 88 acres that's already zoned M1 light industry, folks, we could be listening to a lot worse case scenarios tonight. We could be listening for someone in the swine industry wanting to operate a hog farm, or the poultry industry, or a turkey farm. Turkey farms smell. Or in this M1 light industry zoning, we could be like the folks down in Winston-Salem, a fertilizer plant wanted to relocate and set up an operation, a storage facility. Well, it caught fire a month or so ago, and everybody, every homeowner and every business within a 5-mile radius of that fertilizer facility, as well as the University of Chapel Hill, evacuated, waiting to see if it was going to explode. That's how volatile it was. So we could be sitting here listening to a lot worse than solar paneling. Pittsylvania County is the largest county in the state of Virginia, but we don't rank in the top 25 agriculturally. We don't rank. There's no money in farming. And we as a county are not progressing. We don't have enough to offer our young people. As soon as they get educated, they leave. They're gone. So we have nothing. And I know from where I sit, and I know this for a fact on the auto industry, when the auto industry began thinking about relocating to this county, one of their first questions was, what are you doing about green renewable energy? What is your source of green renewable energy? Companies like Microsoft, technical companies, those type of companies, that's what they want. They don't want to leave a carbon footprint. And so they're asking these type questions. From where I sit, I think the project would benefit the county in that it's going to create an atmosphere conducive to letting other industry and other technical type businesses come here to maybe help entice our young people to stay. And yes, from a revenue standpoint of view, absolutely. $15.2 million is a lot of money that can be added back, in each of the 60,000 some citizens in the county, I think could benefit in the way of tax relief. But then it's all of our responsibility, mine and yours, to hold the Board of Supervisors and those in power accountable for the correct spending of that type of money. So I don't see any reason to hold up this process at this level any longer. So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve this application for special use permit with the conditions set forth by the Office of Code Compliance, along with the amendments requested by Firefly Energy.
Motion by Mr. Horn. Your second.
I second it.
Second by Ms. Meese. Any further discussion or questions?
I would just like to say something. I don't think we can deny that the solar company has not tried to make every effort to meet with the community, to try to resolve some of the issues. It's just like it was said, you cannot please everybody. The only way you're going to control what goes on beside of your property is to buy the property. And we all know we can't do that. There are changes in life, and this is a change. Hoping for the better for our community, for your community, and for the county. So I think they have done their homework. They've extended the hand of friendship, trying to negotiate. As he said, he cannot please everybody. I wish all of you well, and therefore, that's why I second it.
Any other commissioner have any comments, questions? Not, we're ready for a vote.
Ms. Meese, second.
You, Ms. Meese.
I'm sorry.
Let the record show 7 yes and 1 absent. So case S-22-003, request for special use permit for solar farm, 3,791 acres, be recommended to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Thank everybody for attending. Have a good evening. I'm sorry, one other thing. We got, any old business?
No old business. For new business, for the month of April, you will have 5 cases. There is a rezoning case in Callan's Gretna, rezoning case in Stanton River, rezoning in the Tunstall District, and a rezoning and special use permit in the Bannister District.
Anything else, Ms. Ragsdale?
That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Meeting's adjourned.
Mr. Chairman, Robin, I'd like to say thank you for giving us next month's agenda already. Thank